Right, welcome to How to Art. Who are we to say how to art? I don't know, but we're gonna try. Sebastian, what do we got? What do we got for people this episode?
We have three reviews of some albums that came out, I would say, late last year.
Hmm?
And I don't know. Do I want to announce all of them right away, or should we
I don't
do
know.
them one by
We're
one?
kind of feeling it out, so I don't know. We can go one by one. For those of you who didn't see the old episodes, we would always do like a larger major artist slash major label release, and then something mid range, which was a little less defined, but I think we had some kind of some amount of tens of thousands of Spotify listeners or something we put it at, and then a smaller artist who had maybe done a little independent project. And we're still like kind of along those lines with these, so we've tried to have three different or artists with three different size presences to start out. What do you think? Do we want to start with the biggest or start with the smallest in terms of streaming numbers this time?
I think we should start with the smallest, maybe.
Start with the smallest?
Um,
Sure.
yeah, I think we did the opposite on our previous
Right?
like podcast, but I think we should go the other way around at least this time.
Yeah. All right. Let's do that. Who's on first?
Well, that's the thing. I actually don't know. Between
It's Luke Titus. Is that correct? I believe
yeah,
he was the
Luke
smaller
Titus.
of the two.
Okay, I
Yeah.
actually forgot to check that one since
Yeah.
I basically didn't like separate between. I felt like Lewis culture
Uh,
and or Louis culture. No, I think you say it, Lewis culture. Yeah,
oh,
and Luke Titus. I feel like they're on a similar
yeah.
level.
The
I'm not
difference
sure.
between for those of you guys, I think one artist who Luke Titus here that we're going to talk about his project first. 5,935 monthly listeners on Spotify. That's close to, that's basically what I have right now. And what was it, Louis or Lewis?
Culture.
Culture. He has, we should probably find out which it is.
I think it's Lewis, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Lewis Culture is in somewhere around 30,000, something around there. And the
Oh, okay.
difference between those is very small in terms of music presence, because that's one song getting added to a playlist potentially, or things can fluctuate a lot. So um
Yeah.
yeah, but I like digging into some smaller artists a little bit.
Yeah, and I mean they're not exactly what I would call small artists. I mean, the numbers say that they are, but I mean like I found them
I just
just
went and grabbed some soup, by the way, so I'll just be the comic relief. I'm just having a bit of soup here.
okay. um, how to soup. Anyway, um, so basically like I found his music. I don't even know how, but
Yeah,
um I
Sebastian's our
found it like
talent
as
scout, so he's the one that sent me these projects for listening this
yeah,
week.
but I mean like in this case it's actually like not even that sort of like small Reddit artist
Mm-hmm.
or whatever because he has like collaborated with some pretty
With the
like
burgers.
mid at least like mid-level well-known artists and some people that are on the come up basically.
Gotcha.
um but anyway, so Luke Titus, he's from what I could found like he's 24 years old. He's from
Yeah.
Chicago, Illinois, and
Mm-hmm.
well, I found out that apparently he drummed. He was a stage drummer for Blue Man Group when he was 15.
Really?
Yeah,
That's an interesting bit of trivia.
yeah. And he's been like apparently mainly a drummer,
Okay.
but he plays every or at least almost every instrument on the album, including the vocals.
Okay.
So like I don't know, where should we start with this? I
Well,
feel like I'm.
no, that's all right. So yeah, this album Plasma. I think one place we could start, which is a pretty interesting place with with uh, with this type of artist, is people out there who might think about listening to this. What are they in for genre wise on a project like this?
Yeah.
Because
Uh,
because um, it it's got a little bit of a lot of things sound wise
yep.
on this.
For sure. I mean, like I can hear him mixing like sort of like this jazzy R&B, soul, hip hop,
Mm-hmm.
but almost like indie pop vibe as well. Some sort of like synth pop. Like
Yeah, and
it's
the tempo as well of some of the tracks, they come in with these high tempo drum breaks and things that you would expect of more electronic music from time to time.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Some almost like drum and bass,
Mm-hmm.
break beats type of things. Yeah, yeah. Um, but anyway, like um, I thought it was like a very interesting sound. That's why I wanted to cover this because it's definitely something that I haven't really heard before.
Yeah,
Um,
I had that same thought
and,
when I was listening.
and like, I mean, I could hear parallels to other artists, but it wasn't like, yeah, I've heard this so many times before. Um, Definitely not generic, almost on the opposite side, where it's almost like I found myself like thinking, come on, dude, scale it down just a little bit. Can you play like a normal drum beat for just a couple of seconds
Uh-huh.
before you start doing all these like insane fills and drum beats,
It's
basically.
definitely a project that doesn't let you, for maybe some people like this, maybe some people don't, but it's definitely a project that doesn't let you settle too much in any one place or mood for too long. The over it's interesting, right as I say that, I think when I say mood, I'm thinking about the overall project. I don't think I had a lot of like fluctuation from track to track in how I felt or how my kind of emotions were directed by the music, but within each individual track actually was a lot of variation. You would have these spacey vocals that were very soulful for a short moment, and then you'd be hit with this, like we talked about, drum and bass type thing, and then you'd come out to another type of instrumental altogether. Um, and so I don't know. I think maybe I'm a little more basic in my taste, and I wanted to like settle in a sound for a few more bars than I got to usually. Um,
Yeah.
so that I might agree with, but there's probably the other side of the spectrum where maybe people would enjoy how much more varied this one was.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it's like I can almost tell that this is like a what do you want? Like he's a musician's musician. Like
Yeah.
it's definitely something that requires you to be. It doesn't require you to be interested in like music as a what do you want to say, like the actual musicianship and not just listening for the vibe, but
Right.
actually listening to like the way he plays his instruments, the way he chooses his chords, the way I would like chord progressions. um, so I think that a lot of people would find it a bit challenging to listen to, but
Hmm.
but it's still like it's still catchy. It still has a lot of like very like pretty moments that I think most people would be able to appreciate, or at least see
Yeah.
the skill behind it. Um, but it's definitely a required taste, and
Yeah.
it's a bit weird and a bit too, I would say, like almost like maximalist. Like
Uh, yeah.
it it
The
just
opposite
has
of a
a
minimalist
lot.
album.
Yeah, yeah, but
Yeah.
absolutely like it. But I really liked a few of the tracks,
Yeah. What do you got
especially
for
when
standouts?
um, I've written down that I liked Retrograde, Mysticals, I'll Be Here, and I've Tried.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And I feel like especially Mysticals and I'll Be Here and I've Tried were like the main standouts for me. Especially like because I've tried. It's like this very beautiful mellow track, and it sounds like something that you could, like I could picture hearing it at almost like at a school dance in the 50s, 60s,
Yeah.
something. It's sort of like this ballad has this sort of like slow dance vibe almost, and it's like falsetto. It has like this very beautiful like falsetto, like a very airy falsetto.
That's showcased
That
in that
just
one for sure.
yeah.
For those of you who don't know as well, who might listen to this or watch this later, we're streaming this live on Twitch at twitch.tv/Petravita Music, where I do some other streams. And I've just put in the chat right now the current project that we're doing, and I'll do that as we go along. We may kind of jump away depending on what's going on, if someone has questions in the chat or something like that. So it's always a balance with these recorded episodes, as I don't want to interject too much as we go through our kind of our format, but also want to make sure it is live. So it's good to engage as well. So if anything is out of place or we're answering a question you can't see, that's probably what is going on. Your tracks that you was interesting with the standouts. I had a lot, like I said, there were a lot of tracks on this that had moments I liked, and I think because of that there were a lot that I could have tagged as songs I liked and written down that those were ones I enjoyed. When you said though what your favorites were, the only one that I had, I tried to keep it to 3, 4, 5 max on these listens, was Mysticals. So I had
Okay.
pointed out that one as well, but I also had Gold and Today, and then Bruxelles, the interlude near the end. One interesting thing is both of those feature guest artists. So those are 2 of the 3 that have other people on this project. I don't know. I even clicked on them. One of them didn't have any other music up. That's or no, sorry. This was another. Or this is on the other project I was thinking. They're very varied in this one. So Quarry here, 24,000 listeners. Whereas someone like Raven Lene, you mentioned him working with bigger artists, so she's almost at 700,000.
Yep. She's definitely on the come up apparently.
Yeah.
She's supposed to be like a.
But I kind of liked. Maybe it's kind of interesting, and we talk about there being a lot of variation. At the same time, it is within one man's style or wheelhouse as an artist. So maybe I like those. I don't know, little moments of. I'm also partial to. A little music that's a little more vocal or has more going on lyrically, so it might have been to have another voice that jumps out is nice sometimes in something like this, or it's something you can latch onto when there's so much noise happening. So that may have been why those were ones that I gravitated toward.
Yeah. And it's also worth mentioning that I think it's pretty interesting because you and I, we have kind of different tastes in music, but it's sort of still has this overlap where we can still enjoy many of the same artists, but maybe we find like different things within them, like within their songs that we actually enjoy most. So I feel like that's definitely good to know that we like. It's one of the reasons why we might disagree on the best tracks. I can also recommend, by the way, Sen Morimoto, who's like featured on the first track, Air. He's a very good, like, interesting artist as well.
I'll follow him.
If you listen to his solo tracks.
Yeah, I liked it. The Air was interesting. This intro as well, because it, I don't know, that kind of, I don't know how to articulate it that well, which is bad for a podcast, but it does set the mood kind of early that you're getting this eclectic project, because it sounds very much, I want to say for the, I'd have to listen again, but for the first 30 seconds or whatever, there's some dialogue and things, and it sounds kind of like what you'd expect from a standard like intro track on an album. Maybe they've used a sample from a talk or a movie or something like that, and they've got some slow sweeps and things going on behind it, and then it quickly changes up much in the way that the tracks continue to do on the rest of the project. So I did enjoy that one too, even if I hadn't picked it out as.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure though what Sen Morimoto is actually doing on that track, because like from what I've gathered, he's a rapper. Maybe he's a producer, and I don't know,
Okay.
but I don't know because there are no vocals on that track, right?
And I don't think so outside of the like sampled speech or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. So, but anyway, he's definitely worth listening to.
Donkey
But
Gonki in the
anyway,
chat says, "Never heard of these. This is cool." Well, yeah, well, that's just us.
so I would say that like I enjoy this album. I thought it was interesting. I'm not sure like it can be exhausting to listen to
Yeah,
sometimes. Like and I just feel like he's a very like versatile artist. Like he can pull off many different styles, but I also feel like his versatility is also one of his like greatest weaknesses as well. Because it feels like you're listening to like this very disjointed like playlist or mixtape
right.
that like even if it has like a consistent production value, it
Yeah,
just like differs too much in sound, and it's like you said, especially within a song, it just jumps all over the place, and as soon as you feel like you're getting into the groove, it just changes around, and he starts doing some really like technical,
right.
like almost like math rock
Yeah, yeah.
guitar
That's what I
like
was
tapping
gonna compare it to.
and and I don't know, I feel like
When you find a mood that you really like on this, you get 10 or 20 seconds of it.
yeah.
Max, pretty much.
Yeah, exactly. And I just feel like he should try for his next album to just dial it down just a little bit. Maybe he can be exactly as technical, but just like have some more like slower, like regular time signatures, and not try to be as technical when it comes to
Sebastian,
like the
are you
instrumental
telling
parts.
this man how to art?
Yep, I think I am.
Telling him how to art. I think he could have just as much variation and showcase the skill that he has with a little bit like we've touched on, varying, letting these moods vary more from track to track rather than within tracks, or having having a couple of tracks on a project that are that schizophrenic and jumping from thing to thing in it, to deliver that kind of style. But I think having that on every track, yeah, like you say, it was a little tiring sometimes. What you give this one out of 10 if we were to hit it with a rating?
Honestly, this is tough, but I'm leaning like 6.5 to 7 out of 10 still. I would probably say 6.5 because it's not 100% like my style.
Yeah.
But if I would judge it solely on the musicianship, I would probably give it a 9. But like for like my enjoyment, what I like, and just a general thing, I would say 6.5 out of 10. But it's almost a weak 7.
I would try and give my, for this, because it's always in the different ways when you talk about to rate things. Are you doing it when we talked about before, even when we would look at very small projects of, are we doing this within the context of this is a very small one-man operation? Are we, the first project or something on, and then other artists, are we looking at, as you say, is this on the technical ability or the production or the clarity and the mixing and things, or is it just kind of enjoyment as a listener? I'm going to try for this episode at least, and probably going forward, just because that's how I am, for my scores anyways, to give people context, I will be talking from a purely listenership enjoyment standpoint. And so I will comment on the things I find maybe more technically or musically impressive. But at the end of the day, this for me is, this is a 5 to a 6 max for me, because it's just not something I could listen to that much. And despite even these tracks that I like the most, they're probably not tracks that I would want to come on shuffle that often in my library compared to others. I'm just not gonna get those, 2 to 4 minutes of enjoyment that I want from listening to a song, I guess. So for me, I'd say 5.5 is where I'd settle with it. Gonki says, "Wow, this album is kind of nuts." Yeah, it is. If you're listening along or checking it out, but
Yeah. Because for me, it's like I would still recommend people checking it out. I feel like if I were rated it like 5 or 5.5, that would mean basically, nah, this is average. Don't check it out. I still feel like this has enough value that you should listen to it. Maybe you don't like it. Maybe you won't pick it up again. But I
Right.
still feel like everybody should, or not everybody, but a lot of people should still check it out and see if they find something they enjoy, because it's an interesting album, even if it doesn't always pull it off. Like
Yeah.
the thing it tries to pull off, it doesn't always work, but it's still interesting.
Fair enough. You guys may. Let's see. Gonki says, "I'll check it out more. Interesting." You guys may disagree with me or with both of us when you listen to it. Let us know what you think. But that was Luke Titus with Plasma for the first project. And next, what do we got, Sebastian? I'm gonna type it in the chat. Will you tell him on the mic?
Yes, we got Lewis Culture, and the album is called Smile Sound System, or it's more of an EP, but it's
Yep. Bam. All right.
but
That's what we got next. To give some context for the size of this project, artist page, Lewis Culture has around 34,000 monthly listeners on Spotify. If we look at Smile Sound System, there are tracks, or one track, 175,000 plays about, and then a lot of others in the low to mid tens, 10 to 50,000 streams. So there's someone that, there's definitely when you're putting out a project as well, even if this is 7 tracks, it is in 2020, 2021 now, it is not, you have to have a following to have your songs down the list of a project getting several thousand to tens of thousands and upwards streams. You can't do that and just have one song on a playlist that does well. People aren't going to dive that deep into the discography because they like one song on Discover Weekly usually. And so this is someone who definitely has a growing following. And yeah, Smile Sound System, 7-track project.
Yep.
What do we want to talk about first on this one?
I don't know. I feel like I could mention that he's from London, apparently, South London. I think he's like 22 or 23 years old, so he's still like pretty young, and I think he has like an interesting future ahead of him. Or like I'm definitely interested in seeing what he can pull off. Because I just love the combination of like different styles that he's like pulling together into like into a sound. Because it's like it's very rooted in like UK electronic music, like garage. I mean garage. Sorry, if we're talking with UK folk. And sort of like 2-step, and it mixes that with like hip hop and he does some rapping on top of that, and it's difficult to actually pinpoint it and call it hip hop or calling it garage, because it just transcends like the genre, the genres basically.
When you suggested this as one of the projects, much like Plasma, the first project we just talked about, I went into I went into both of those blind as far as genre expectations, and so that was kind of cool. I think this fusion was a little more listenable for me. When we talked about what we were thinking before with the previous project, I really liked, and it did take me a little bit to figure out when I was listening to the first opening track or two of some of the sounds that were going to be in it, and how much of the hip hop is going to be featured on these verses and stuff, and that probably influenced some of the tracks that I liked. Probably had a little more of actual verses to them, but I liked a lot of the sounds on this one, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's definitely like if you're used to like more like American hip hop and trap, it's definitely like a different beast compared to that, because it's just I mean it's more about atmosphere and vibe. I mean sure, like there are so many different types of hip hop coming out from the US and everywhere else basically, so that might be too broad of a like too much of a like blanket statement, but I still feel like it's rooted in like electronic music in the way that it's more like it tries to pull you in with like more of a hypnotic atmosphere. It's a lot of like repetition in the beats, and it's more it's more of like I don't want to say it, like it's more well, it's basically more about the atmosphere.
Yeah, I think that's good as well. I was gonna say it's more of a atmospheric, and I was trying to think of a way to in some of the songs induce kind of a bit of a listener trance without being trance. The genre is what I was kind of getting at necessarily, but yeah, I enjoy it. I actually had one of my I'll go through. We can switch order, and I'll go through first the couple of tracks that I had picked out. But I actually liked the opening track for State, Being Me. For I think like we talked about earlier, having some more lyrics. 21 was interesting to me, because I was like, is this like a play on the 21 thing, but also he was 21 when he wrote it or something, or what? Because there is like that 21, 21, 21 like chant in it. So it was just kind of interesting. I don't know if I'd actually say that was a favorite, but I don't know, maybe smile a bit. And I'd picked those ones out, but I liked other things on the project as well. The chorus of Britannia reminded me a lot, the shouts in that of like, I don't know, something that could be like a Watsky song or an interlude in a Watsky thing. Those like shouts, which I'm a fan of him, and so and he has a song called Yes Britannia, but it's completely musically different. But so I enjoyed some things like that. I think this probably some tracks like that, the Britannia chorus, 21, and I only had time to listen once, but this is the project that I will listen to more than once. Like, I will definitely listen to this one again. Out of the three today, it was definitely the one that I would pick out to do that with. And I think a lot of that too, when I talk about these tracks, there's particular moments that stood out, that elicited something, whether it was a kind of a calm, like, wow, that's a really cool full sound that's going on in the background, or it's I smiled because of the 21 thing, or the shout sounds a little bit raw. It's not perfect, but I kind of liked that it was off a little bit. I don't know. So I had some standout moments, I think, on this, and that to me says that there's interesting things happening at different places on the project. Pause for soup.
Soup. So did you have any more thoughts about it, or do you want me to jump in with something?
Go ahead and jump in with what you're. Yeah, I was trying to give you the soup cue. I was gonna take a
Okay,
bite of soup, and then you hit us with your tracks.
absolutely. Anyway, so the tracks that I chose are actually, it's kind of funny because once again, it's basically the tracks that you didn't choose. The tracks that I liked the most on this were Part Two and Hannah says Hi. Because I just really liked the instrumentals of those. They were more like in line with what I listened to sometimes. I just really enjoy like the it just sounds so so British basically. It just sounds like British dance music, and it just has like this really, it's difficult to explain it, but it's sort of like this intangible feeling where it kind of like just takes you there, just by the pure sound of it, like the sonic quality of the music. I don't know if you get what I mean.
Do you get when those kind of moments? Do you ever get like feel like this could be in a like a British show or like a British like Netflix show? This could be the soundtrack to some like dance or like I don't know coming of age scene or like some I don't know like
Absolutely.
sometimes I got that.
Yeah, not so much for this project, but I do know what you mean, and yes, sometimes absolutely. But um, anyway, I just really like it because like a lot of like British music just has sort of like this more I don't know, the vibe is a bit more, I would say a bit more dark. Like it's more gray and rainy, and I feel like that's probably appropriate with the
It's more London.
yeah. And it just sort of like it's very noticeable like in this project that he's from the UK. Like even if you like don't hear his accent, like even if you would remove like his actual rapping on the like on the album, it would still be pretty obvious that this was a British artist. And I feel like that's definitely interesting.
One of the I was gonna say the last couple years, one of my favorite albums was Lana Del Rey's Norman fucking Rockwell, which I don't even listen to that much Lana Del Rey. I've never been one to listen through her albums, but the reason I bring it up is because the word that comes to mind when you're talking about this is soundscape, and that you can the project the sound of the music overall puts you in for Lana Del Rey. It's this like Americana alternate reality type thing, like I don't know, golden era. There's something to it that makes you feel throughout the project. You can kind of imagine it's this amorphous thing of a background, a setting, wherever you're in, and I think I get some of the same from this project and what you're kind of describing in general with music that has that a little bit darker sound is a soundscape that project presents.
Yeah, and I just feel like a lot of UK artists have that sort of soundscape that you're talking about, like without even like I don't think it's something that they choose. Like this is gonna sound British. It's just like it's just a reflection of like what it's like there, like the weather. Like it's, I mean, sure, it doesn't always rain, but I mean, there's still
It's a
like
there's a high
some,
chance. There's a high chance
yeah,
of rain.
yeah. So I mean, like I think it definitely shows in the sound that well in the soundscape.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like I would say the weak points on this album for me was the lyrics actually.
Okay.
I just read through them like a few times, and they just did not match up for me with like the general like vibe of the album. I just felt like it was kind of basic at times, and sort of like if you just view the lyrics or the like his words as another like rhythmic element that's supposed to drag you into the music, then absolutely
Then it
it does
works as
its
that.
job, but it just doesn't evoke anything like emotional within me, and it's very, I don't know, like it seemed a bit, I don't want to say shallow, but it lacked a bit of depth to me.
Yeah. That would be shallow.
Yeah, true. The actual definition of it. And
I got you. That's something I didn't. Like I said, I liked some of the songs with more of a lyrical presence, and so I didn't actually notice that. But as I said, I didn't go and read through them. So maybe as I have more listens, I will come to that conclusion as well. But should we hit this one with a score? I can go first. Oh, go ahead. Do you have something else?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say like some of the lyrics are like the hood in me can let it go. The hood in me thinks about my bros. The hood in me said don't trust hoes. The man in me said keep your head screwed on. I don't know. You get what I mean. Like it's not exactly
big brain bars. No, I get what you're saying.
Exactly. And sure, those are probably not maybe representative of the entire project, but it's definitely sort of what you can expect.
I mean, I'll be honest. As a rapper, bros and hoes is not a rhyme I actively strive to include. It's a little overdone, a little bit, but
yeah. I get you.
This project I would give let's say 7.5 is where I would sit with it. As I said, I would definitely more inclined to listen to this again.
Yeah. And I actually scored it a 7 as well, and it's a strong 7. So I mean, I could see myself going 7.5 with more listens. So so we kind of agree on the general quality of the album. Anyway.
Yeah. So 7 in the Twitch chat. Scoos says this album is a vibe. We'll give it a proper listen later. Yeah, I think we could both recommend that you do that. At least listen through and see what you think of it. I'll be putting some more listens into it, which I think is a good sign for me.
Yeah. Okay. So you got the question in the chat. What we rated the first album, and I think I said a 6.5. Did I not?
Yeah, and I had a 5.5. I believe.
Yeah.
Like Scoos wrote, answer later. We just gonna gloss over that and answer it now.
Oh yeah, I did not see the answer later part.
That's pretty funny. I mean, hey, we're doing them live though. Might as well have some interaction. Cool. Now the final project we're gonna take a look at is something special. In my opinion, not special as in iconically great music, but special in the way that kids use it as an insult in middle school. But we'll see how we break it down here.
Yeah.
All right, what do we got, Sebastian? Let them know. I'm going to type this one out in the chat.
Okay, so the last album that we have to discuss is Playboi Carti, Whole Lotta Red. That just came out in basically, I think, Christmas Day.
Okay.
So it's just about 2 weeks old.
Chat says short bus special. That's what I was getting at. All right. This is Whole Lotta Red. Playboi Carti. Where to start with this?
Yeah, where to start? Because it's definitely difficult to explain the whole thing, because there is sort of like a backstory to this.
Okay.
I don't think this was the album that he was planning on releasing at first. But
then he decided there weren't enough migraines in 2020, so we need to release this one.
Yeah, but because in 2019, I think like 40 tracks got leaked somehow.
40, okay.
40 tracks leaked that were supposed to be on the album called Whole Lotta Red. Mm-hmm. And none of those tracks are on the actual album. So that's worth a mention. So I think that
Was that
I
just
just think
because
that
of the leaks? Like he didn't want to include stuff people had already heard, or
I don't think he ever actually like specifically said that, but I think that's the general
Yeah.
consensus that it was what happened. But anyway, those leaks were, without like spoiling the score or anything, like the leaks were better. Like no
Okay.
matter like what you think about him, I
Yeah.
thought they were better. And this album is supposedly 2 years in the making, and I don't know. I don't see that happening. Like if this album took 2 years to make, I don't know. Like
Bro, it's a whole lot of
no.
ad libs to record. Imagine how many
Yeah,
times you got to go through each track. See.
yeah.
Eh,
And but I also heard that he finished, or like he actually started the album from scratch like late last year as well. I'm not sure like if
which, yeah.
what, but so, and that seems more plausible based on the actual sound of
Quality.
the album.
Yeah.
But
So it's a shame that with copyright stuff, we can't play some samples for people right now.
yeah,
I love how this is the first time that comes up. Not with the two superior projects. Let's showcase a smaller artist and something good they've done. But now we're on Playboi Carti, and I say, there's one track that is so bad. I want you guys to hear it. Okay, when we first of all earlier when Sebastian and I did a quick call before this, and you mentioned the track "Jump Out the House,"
yeah,
and I said that one actually gave me a headache listening to it.
yeah.
Literally, jump out the house, jump out the house, jump out the house. Whatever the.
Dabadas,
Oh my
yeah.
god! It is the whole time. Oh, just a casual 24 tracks. Chat says, yeah, exactly. Oh, some unnecessary bloat to the album. I think, regardless of if you're a fan or not, I think that we didn't really need 24 tracks on this. But
No, that's absolutely like it's. I feel like it's a terrible. Like I understand, like it's the streaming era, like the
Yeah.
streaming age. You have to put as many tracks as possible on there. But I feel like, come on, if the tracks are like good, if you really want people to hear it, put out several releases instead. Just. I miss hearing like okay, I shouldn't say miss because there are still artists doing this, but I miss when most artists did albums that were just like a bit more cohesive and a bit more
yeah,
like an actual album experience, not
Right.
just like here are 24
here's an
random
album worth or more of tracks. Not necessarily there's a concept to the album.
yeah,
that-
and I'm
yeah.
and I mean a concept doesn't have to be like a specific like lyrical concept or anything that the album should be about, but it should still feel like a work, like a solid work of art, like together.
Yeah.
It should be
Yeah.
like yeah, you know what I mean, like
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Highlights for me on this project were both of the places where someone actually attempted to rap a little bit. There's a Kid Cudi feature on Metamorphosis. I don't know if that's even spelled right. There's Goat. There's Kanye was on Go to the Moon, the second track. Interesting enough, that was fine, but it's only 2 minutes long, and my guess is that maybe Kanye did some production on that one as well, or produced it in its entirety, and it was fine, but it's not anything special as far as what he can do producing wise. I don't know, was a little more interesting than some of the other beats, but not amazing. A lot of the beats on this as well, which is stylistically where plenty of artists are existing right now, so I understand it, but they're like, it's literally the beat itself is just distorted as fuck with like a lot of like Nextel mobile phone chirps and ad libs yelling at you from both ears back and forth the whole time. And this is a absolutely, now I don't listen to a lot of Carti. We were talking about this. You were saying, okay, this is like, you know, as an artist, this is not a new thing to have like very ad lib heavy tracks, and like a lot of the track content is like the whole time. But even more than that, one of the things that's tough for me to get into about this is it is almost impossible for this man to say something without having to then say it a minimum of 3 more times. If he's not said something 4 to 24 times, I don't think it makes it in the lyrics. It's just the same thing. It's like, thank God some of these tracks are only a minute and a half, because, you know, there's only so many jump out the houses you can take.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like I should mention that I wouldn't call myself like a Carti fan. I feel like he's interesting, or like he used to be an interesting artist in the way that he sort of like it or not, he changed hip hop, or like if you even want to call it hip hop, but he changed a lot of it with his album, like his first album that came out in 2017, I think, because it made a lot of people like reevaluate what can you do like with music, since he didn't have traditional like bars. He just had like ad libs that he kept on repeating and repeating, and it sort of became more about the vibe more than the actual, like, sure, other artists did that as well, but not in the same way. And I feel like he definitely brought on some change with his sound.
Right.
But this is completely different from the first 2 albums that he did. And like his change, where he went from more like smooth vibey tracks where you can still like enjoy the beats and just nod your head along. Now it's just a bunch of abrasive, aggressive, and shouty nonsense. And I mean, I do like noise music. I do like music with screaming and shouting, but this is not, like, he doesn't have the voice for it. Like his voice is too squeaky for it to be the right kind of aggressive, basically. Yeah. And I just feel like the lyrics are just such like nonsensical garbage, because even when he does sound genuine, like on some tracks, he has like the on Stop Breathing. Yeah. He has like this, ever since my brother died, I've been thinking about homicide. And you sort of feel like, okay, he cares about this. This is like something that happened. It's not a great lyric by itself, but it means something to him. But that song starts out with him saying, I mentioned the lyric to you, when I take my shirt off.
All the hoes stop breathing, all the bitches stop breathing. Yeah.
And it's like, what? How do you start a track?
Are those in the same? Yeah.
But it sort of has like this very like ADHD quality, where it just jumps from different like random sentences like back and forth. And I mean, most of it basically feels like it doesn't really mean anything. It's
Does he have something words against the letter E? Do you know? Because
what?
Does he have something against the letter E? Like how many? What?
No, I
mean, how many times do you need to use a 3 instead of an E in your song titles? What is this? Okay. Also, little bit of a gripe here. Let's break it down. No Sleep is the name of a track. The entire track, he literally says, I go to sleep and dream about murder, or something like that. Like, I sleep and I dream about murder. It's called No Sleep. And the one phrase he repeats the entire time is, I go to sleep and then do something.
Damn. Yeah.
I don't know if I'm not smart enough to get it. It is a concept track. This is some sort of performance art I don't understand. But yeah.
I saw this thing about like his like I mentioned the lyric about ever since my brother died I'm
Yeah.
thinking about homicide, and people were like on TikTok were apparently doing like RIP and his brother's name, but like his brother is alive,
Yeah.
alive and well, I think.
Uh-huh.
And like he was referring to like
Just someone in
probably
his
like one of
crew
his
or-
friends
yeah.
and everything, but like it's so like funny how people were literally like saying RIP for his brother that is just alive, and people on Reddit were apparently saying that people were really stupid for like posting content with that, but I think it's an easy mistake to make, because
Yeah.
I also thought that his brother had
Right. I
died.
mean, that lyric, you could, yeah, understand if it's like, sounds like someone, I don't know, a rapper with more to say might write that about their actual brother passing away.
Yeah, sure. But anyway, like I don't think I mentioned it, but I prefer like when Cardi does the more like melodic stuff. I enjoyed. I thought the best tracks were I don't know how you say it,
Yeah,
Bino.
yeah, and I know that was
S-
one on his subreddit people liked. So
Yeah, Slayer, Teen X, Neo Neon, Control Place, like all of those tracks were decent enough for me to be like, yeah, this I could have enjoyed this if there was another rapper on top of these beats. Like a lot of it reminded me of more like almost these like hyper pop artists, or sort of like Young Lean and Blady and all those Drain Gang, Sad Boy artists. I don't know if you're that familiar with them, but
not
I
super.
enjoy I enjoy that sound where it's sort of like a very electronic beats that sound almost like inspired by like early 2000s electronic music, like dance, and I think you can hear
Fair.
in the synths and everything.
Yeah.
But as for a rating,
Oh, we didn't
I don't
get
know
to
if
my
I'm.
favorite tracks.
Oh, I thought you. No, actually, you just said the tracks you didn't like.
Yeah, I don't really have any favorite tracks. I was gonna say the problem for me, there were some more like melodic moments that, like I said, I guess I did say that I did mention that the parts I liked were the features. Yeah, like even if they were a little lackluster, but my problem with this is having standout tracks on a project like this. That to me is, I understand if I picking standout tracks on this for me isn't like going to a restaurant and having like a favorite dish out of a good menu, and you're like, oh, I love this one, but they've got a lot of good stuff. It's not elevated. The bar is not high. Trying to pick out standout tracks on this for me was like you've been constipated for a long time, and you finally take a shit, and you're like, amazing, but then you realize your joy is coming from a turd. You're literally excited about a poop. And that's how I feel on this. It's just a whole lot of nonsense. And if it picked out anything, I'm only enjoying it because, I don't know, it was a regular bowel movement next to impacted useless bowels. I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And to-
I will not
and-
listen to this again. But who knows?
Yeah, and I guess that also as like squeezing out a turd, like the joy is mostly actually it being over afterwards, and you can go back to your normal life.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna go eat some better
Yeah.
music now.
Yeah. But anyway,
Rating?
I don't I can't really say that I feel the same. Like I understand where you're coming from, and some of the worst tracks on this absolutely is among the worst tracks that I've heard in a while, like from
Yeah.
that big of an artist. But I just feel like this could have been a good album if they, or I don't know, like if they had cut down on like basically half the tracks or something. Like if they just cut away all the like really shouty, aggressive tracks. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't do that sound well. And if I were to rate it, I think I would give it like still give it a 4 to 4.5 out of 10. Because I do enjoy some of the beats on here, and I feel like at his best, I do enjoy his voice and his weird like delivery of the ad libs, like the constant ad libs. It, I like, I realize that it's not good, but it's sort of like junk food. It sort of like hits the spot, even though you know that it's kind of
This hit
terrible.
none of my spots. None of my spots were hit by this. I would give this a 2, and
number 2, yeah, makes sense.
yeah. That wasn't planned, but yeah, I could give this a 2 or a 3. I think that there was not, like I said, my rating. I'm going from like listenability and not that it would be a higher rating if I was going for skill or quality of. But anyways, for me, I just think it's a very low. It's just not a good album. It's not good as an album, and if, for me anyways, it's not enjoyable music. I think the only reason I don't say this is a 1 or a 0 or go hyperbolic with it is giving it a 2 or 3. That gives me. I'm 28 years old now. Like, this gives me a boomer buffer. It won't just be like, oh, it's just an old head. He doesn't understand. So we throw this in as a boomer buffer and say, for me, this is absolutely shit. But I understand that times change, genres change, people like different sounds, and there's people who do absolutely enjoy this style. So I can understand enjoying tracks on this project, but still, as an album, it's not a great in any sense project. So
No. Yeah, and I absolutely agree with it. It's not a good album, absolutely not. But I feel like it is sort of in my wheelhouse, I guess you could say. I mean, like, I feel like I could enjoy it if a lot of it was different.
Okay,
I know
Zoomer.
okay, it's a weird statement, but I mean, like, I could see myself enjoying the beats with another rapper on it or another singer, like anything like that. Or if
oh shit, was there a rapper on this album?
Okay, fair enough. But Kanye was on it. To be fair now. But anyway, I also felt like that track was just so weird, like because it was a Kanye track, with Playboi Carti doing some weird, random shit on the end, and I don't know, it felt like a weird inclusion. But this is definitely. I probably would have rated it like a 2 as well if I didn't enjoy the actual style. Like, I feel like this is something that I could enjoy and should enjoy, but I just
this style
don't.
Done better.
Because even though I'm actually older than you, I'm a bit less boomerish with my music taste, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
But which sort of means that I listen to a lot of Gen Z crap, but I do like it. What can I say?
Yeah.
But anyway, apparently this album is also projected to get to be like his first #1 album in the US.
Yeah, I think I saw that it was actually.
Yeah. Okay. But apparently, like, the numbers were still really weak.
Chat says Exhibit A, Petrovita's Mr. Rogers sweater. This sweater has a cool backstory. Leave me alone. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Yeah, is it gonna hit? It hit #1 or is about to?
Yeah. But it apparently it sold 115,000 units, I guess, first week, which is apparently like sort of similar to the future Lil Uzi Vert joint album that they released. But they released it unannounced. And this was like an album that people have been hyping up for
Yeah.
almost 2 years.
Yeah.
So those numbers are very, very weak. But I think that sort of I think people are disappointed in this album. Some people will love it. Some people won't accept it being bad, so they will tell themselves that it actually is a good album. But yeah, I think he needs to.
Playboy
It feels.
cardigan. That's me. That's what Chess said. Cardi, more like cardigan. I like that. I'm gonna change my name to Playboy cardigan.
Playboi Carti. It's actually a decent name.
It's all right.
No. But anyway, and like Playboi Carti as like the person is also well, he doesn't seem like the best person ever. Because like he apparently had like because he just got his first child with Iggy Azalea.
Oh yeah.
And apparently like he cheated on her, like he had a mistress like when she was pregnant with their child, and they kept on like seeing each other the entire time, and
Big yikes.
He missed his child's first Christmas as well. Like even they were broken up, but she was still like, you should come to your child's first Christmas celebration. He was like, nah, I just released my new album instead. And he was sitting on Instagram rapping along to Stop Breathing. And like I read a comment where someone said that people were writing in the chat how much they thought the song sucked. And they could see how he got disappointed and basically logged off. I'm not sure if it's true, but that's what I heard. And I don't know. But on the other hand, like it sucks that he's apparently not a great person. But I feel like Iggy Azalea, she's like 30 years old. He's 24, and he's a rapper with Playboi in his name. I feel like
right. Didn't see that one coming. You don't want to victim blame, but you didn't see that one coming.
Kind of exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like, obviously, it's not her fault. In no way. But yeah, she should have seen it coming. And this kid is named Onyx. That's
cool. You probably should avoid any like harder than Onyx lines though. Now at this point, I would think that would be good to keep out. Anything else? Music happenings we want to talk about for the whole MF Doom story of him passing away, and then finding out this was actually a couple of months ago, that his family had kept under wraps, which I believe is confirmed to be true. So that he passed away like in September or something like that, and just nobody knew about it. He's pretty like notoriously, I don't know, shrouded in his personal life and stuff. Like been very private, anyways. So that's pretty interesting. So, Justice, who is that? MF Doom, your rapper's favorite rapper, as is known. Very lyrical and prolific rapper who's been at it for quite a while.
Raps a lot about food.
Mm-hmm. He's got his persona with the mask, and I don't know. Very clever writer. Is not an artist that I like latched onto a ton, so it's not a personal attachment for me. But it's definitely made waves this past week in the hip hop community. A lot of people talking about that and paying tribute in various ways.
Do we know how he died? I feel like I haven't read that.
No, I don't think so. Actually, it's like you're the curiosity is piqued. You're always wondering, but I don't think we know.
But it's very sad. Like he was like 49 years old, so he wasn't that old. Like
exactly. Yeah.
And he was definitely very talented, and I listened to him like way back when I was, I don't know, 20 or something. It wasn't like the type of hip hop that I listened to a lot, but I still enjoyed a lot of it, like
Mm.
his tracks, and I haven't listened to him since then. Basically, I think I should do that, pay some tribute to, because he was a very good rapper, and
Mm.
even though there was a lot of weird controversies with the when he apparently someone else performed his
Ah,
tracks
yeah, with his
live.
or with the mask and the yeah. There was
Yeah,
something with like Hannibal Buress, uh, that actor and comedian did something like as MF Doom with his mask or some shit about that. I forget though.
oh yeah, I remember that actually. Um, and also he was also the original um, 21 Savage. No, but the no.
What now?
It, do you know what I mean? No,
What, the
okay.
British
So
American thing or
yeah.
oh, okay.
He was basically
The original
he was basically
21
deported
Savage.
to the UK.
Yeah.
Even though he like grew up in New York and
Uh-huh.
was like a New York rap legend,
Yeah.
basically. But he got deported to a country that he had never lived in. I mean, I guess he had
Yeah.
been there before, like on tours and stuff, but he had no real connection, as
Yeah.
like what I know, and he could never go back to the US,
Yeah.
which is kind of sad.
Is that true? He could never come back. I didn't know that.
I think that was it, or like at least he couldn't tour. Maybe he could
Uh-huh.
come back, but he couldn't live like in the US, and
Huh.
he wasn't allowed to tour. And I think that's one of the reasons why I actually sent like his double.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Interesting.
but I'm not 100% sure
Yeah,
on that.
this is
But,
one of those post-mortem mysteries to dive into that I'm intrigued by right now. Anything else? Goki says, why was he deported? Basically, if it's like the 21 Savage situation, he probably was brought here by his family when he was young and didn't basically properly have a visa or a reason to be here. He wasn't a citizen, and it was basically later discovered and fell apart at that point when, you know, he was punished for having been in the country for how many decades that he had no legal tie to or citizenship. But
yeah, I think that's basically exactly what happened. I'm not sure if it was that. I think he was brought here as a baby, or
yeah,
possibly even that he was born in the U.S.
nah,
but
he'd be a
didn't have a
citizen.
birth certificate.
Uh-huh.
So so that's even more annoying, because
yeah.
from what I know, if he had a birth certificate,
Right.
he would have been an American,
Citizen
and
if
he
you-
would
yeah,
be able
yeah.
to
Sure,
stay
sure.
anyway, even if his parents were legal
Right.
immigrants. Is
Yeah.
that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So definitely a fuck up on the parents' part there, but it's yeah, definitely dumb. I agree with that.
Huh. Cool. I think that's what we got for you on How to Art. It's 9:28 p.m. So I don't want my neighbors to shit themselves since it's past 9. So I probably shouldn't. I'm having too much fun and enjoying myself. So sometimes I talk loudly or laugh or get excited, and that could really land me in some hot water with my resident Karens. So,
Damn,
so I think
your neighbors suck.
yeah, they really do. So, let's go ahead and wrap things up. 3 projects today we had for you. Luke Titus with Plasma. Lewis Culture with Smile Sound System. And Playboi Carti with Whole Lotta Red.